So, checking on grandparents during the holiday season is highly vital. Checking on your grandparents, your grandmother, grandfather, elderly people close to the family. It's a very vital thing. Some people, many people don't check on their grandparents. I had to get on some of my blood relatives about that sort of thing. Checking on to make sure my grandmother is cool. Even my grandfather. He's married, and yet it's still good because you don't know how older people are doing in their alone time, especially when they're single. And not just around the holidays, but yeah, like I said before, every day. If you can, or at least twice a week. I try to check on my grandmother at least twice a week by phone call. But yes, like, subscribe, ID in the Discovery Channel. Yes, ID in the Discovery Channel. The links are provided below. Get that Discovery Go app as well as that ID Go app. You might want to get those two things combined and make them into one. But yeah, this story is in fact old, and yet I wanted to bring it back up. Seeming Christmas is on the way as well as New Year's. That's so odd and strange how people, that's weird. How you in fact have individuals that grow up, say, slightly raised by grandmothers, grandparents, grandfathers. I say grandmothers more than anything because grandmothers, not saying that they're more valuable than grandfathers, but they take a lot of time and patience and to help raising their grandkids. And then when their grandkids is old enough to know, they just forget that they're there. How do you do that sort of, because grandparents oftentimes change diapers, soiled diapers and all the rest, and then you just forget that they're in existence, and then you only call when you need something. Some people out here only call the grandparents when they need something. That's devastating in itself. That shows a heartless individual. But yeah, the individual in the photo, Linda Daniels, in fact died because the electrical company that she was signed up under, right, cut the power off to her house. To be suffering and struggling with heart failure, and then for a company to not be aware, supposedly, of the condition you have, and you're elderly patient of all, and then the power is cut in the middle of summer, knowing that people with heart failure can't live and survive in the heat if there's no air conditioner or anything like that. The things that happen. These are the type of stories that go on every day. You just don't hear about them, despite whatever the temperature is, because to know that someone is there is to say, in a sense, you don't see them because you don't take time to actually recognize that they're there. I just don't like that. That puts disgust in my mind. Let me pause because my phone ain't near me. It's way behind me on the other side of the room. But that does, yeah. So a grandmother, location New Jersey, once again died after the electric company cut the power to her home. Newark, New Jersey. Heart failure. She died on July 5th, a few hours after they cut the power off. PSENG was the name of the actual company. The Public Service Enterprise Group. Why don't I listen to my intuition when it tells me to put my phone right next to me? It's such a disturbance. But yeah, daughter of Daniels, Desiree Washington, said the family of Daniels was trying to pay down her mother's electrical bill. That's how the situation happened. Because see, to have a bill that's skyrocketing and nobody's able, I wonder what's the, not trying to think too deep or go too deep into the situation, but I wonder what the money situation was in this grandmother's home. It doesn't look like it was so positive, because more likely she wasn't able to work if you consider the age. But yeah, so the daughter was trying to actually pay down the bill. The bill was over $1,800. That's a little bit too much for an electrical bill. But to be running appliances and you're having heart issues and all the rest is to say either somebody got behind, she did, or was a lot of power going in the house. So yeah, the daughter stated she notified the electricity company, same thing, right, of her mother's medical issues. She too claimed she sent in payments of $500 to the company. This was before her mother died. 2 days before the power to Daniel's home was cut off, she sent in $500. That's like a partial $1,800, and you're putting $500 to that. That's to still say that it was gonna still be cut off. Danielle's health was in fact poor, and I said that. Her condition, the diagnosis for that, congestive heart failure. I paused because something keep telling me my phone is gonna ring again, but I'm gonna just let that be, right? Congestive heart failure, which became worse in hot temperatures, and I said that. And on the day the power was turned off, the temperature was in the 90s. And since no air conditioner was running, that's fatal in itself. There was in fact, she did not have air conditioning. And once a house get heated, that's to say that the temperatures go up and not down, which was the case. The temperatures was in the 90s, which means that her house had to in fact be like 100 degrees, if not more. I can say possibly about 115 degrees, slightly on estimate, right? So the electricity, the electric company, when I say electrical, that's hood in itself. That's not gangbang style, no, despite me looking whatever, all black, like having respect for the deceased and all black, right? That's a Janet Jackson approach. But yeah, they in fact had no awareness of her health issues. So somebody is in fact not telling the whole truth. By design, I'm saying. How are you a daughter saying that you notified the electric company that your mother had such a severe condition, and yet the company is saying they had no awareness of it? Because see, they had to cut the power because that's only right in their own. To not be aware of something is to say something has to go out, because remember, a payment is due. That's a flawed system in itself. I'm thinking maybe there should be something designed for the elderly to help out with that in a transaction. Like once you get past a certain age, 65 and older is usually, discount approach. That's senior citizen, 65 and older, right? There should be something approved by law, mandatory state or something, where once you hit 65, your electric bill is not, it should be like a fixed rate or something, I'm saying, where it can't that just needs to be passed in my eyes. And I'm sure you, the viewer, will possibly agree, because to know that you have sick elderly grandparents is to say the same thing. There's rites and rituals with that, and no Illuminati involved on my end in saying that sort of thing. Who don't know that? If I'm 65 years old and I'm able to go in restaurants and stores and get discounts based upon my age, that's only right for bills to be the same way. Some of these companies, despite them being unaware to whatever with that, and the scandal mess is to say the same thing. Why wouldn't you have a program for the senior citizens, not outside, because I know there's programs outside where senior citizens can in fact voluntarily sign themselves up, or their kids, if there's power of attorney involved with that. Kids of parents sick like that oftentimes have power of attorney. Yeah, that's substantial in itself, and yet it should be just considered from the beginning. It only makes better sense. So the company had to in fact go through their records to verify if there was health conditions on the end of Miss Daniels documented, and nothing showed as proof. There could even be lawsuit in that. I'm saying if there was or something, right? You don't know how people are able to get around systems, legal systems, and all the rest, right? Because to say, well, my mother died and you guys cut it off and you guys willingly knew that she had the condition, is to say, well, once again, who's not telling the truth? This older woman literally sat in her house. That just, I don't like stuff like that. I mean, it's sorrowful and it makes me grieving to the heart and sick because it's petty in a sense. And that's not looking fully at the company, and that's not really looking at Miss Daniels herself, and that's not really even looking at her children. People have all type of money situations. To not have much to go on or go off of it is to say, oftentimes that's how poor people die. You have to take that into consideration, even to respect of life, right? And yet that's so messy. Because there's been individuals, myself included, where you say didn't do right about a parent or something, right? You didn't do this or that, and then it leads to, say, them dying fatally or tragically, right? There's hopelessness on the end of the child afterwards. I'm saying even with my own situation with my dad, how I didn't, because I was his power of attorney. And I didn't keep up properly on the transaction with that sort of thing. You grieve afterwards. And I'm sure even her daughter has to be grieving over the situation. That just has to be said. It just does. Because that I'm looking right into their financial situation. You look at that and then you go, if you're a daughter, how do you stand over your mother's casket knowing you didn't have the likely funds to go off of to just pay the bill completely off? That's not good at all. So the electric company issued a statement stating the electric company in fact made 15 attempts to notify the customer. That's Miss Daniels herself, right? 15 attempts. That shows you how far back she was. And that's not for me to say that the company is lying. Some companies do lie. They in fact do lie to cover their own asses in lawsuits. This could be one of those situations, right? But 15 attempts is a lot of attempts, right? And it's been said the 15 attempts of them contacting the customer is since January 2018. Don't ask me why I keep pausing. I'm trying to calculate in my mind if that makes sense. It does and it doesn't, because I never we got family members of all kinds that be late on bills, and you don't really too much get contacted 15 times. I'm saying even that's possibly been orchestrated by the electric company, once again, to not make themselves look bad in the court of law. 15 attempts? I can see like 5, 6, or 7 attempts. I don't know. But yeah, and then also where I was questioning, because they said that they made 2 visits to the home of Miss Daniels. 15 attempts and then 2 visits to her home. I ain't never known that's the first thing, maybe I talk too much, I don't know. But that's the first thing that stood out to me. I ain't never known no electric company to come out to people's house when a bill is due, and not, they usually don't give a fuck about you, is what I'm trying to say. They usually just cut the lights and let that be that. I think they're trying to prevent being sued, or try to, or something. 2 visits to a home. Usually companies don't care nothing about you, as in they let you sit in the dark. Hell, even pastors are known to let you sit in the dark. That's not saying to go to church for years on end is to not say nothing. And then my uncle, yes, was in fact my grandmother's brother was in fact a pastor. So I know how people would in fact leave you in the dark, right? But yeah, I ain't never came across no companies that's gonna take the time out that just don't. I ain't never met no company in or out of person or even over the phone that's gonna make 2 visitations to your home because you failed to pay a bill. That don't seem right. I'm saying this out of order, and I don't mean a court of law or something. I want you, the viewer, to tell me, because see, it's viewers that's watching me that's much older than me. I ain't even 40 years old. I'm halfway on the mark, right? Leave me a comment in the comment section and let me know, who do you know, any billing, whatever agency, electric company, water company, telephone company, Sears catalog company, any of that's going to make a visitation out to your home to get you, demand you, or force you to pay a bill. That's devastating in itself. I'm saying it don't sound right. It helps to be clear in the mouth. That's why I ain't liked, and I don't even mind that. Because to say that that's off is, once again, terminal in itself. As in, death awaits you with people lying with that sort of thing. Yeah, so before disconnection, that was said. So they review, once again, the records all the way back to 2016. And as it's been said by them, nothing was found in their records of Daniels having any conditions medically. They also stated that when notified of medical conditions, they're outside of that, they're basically saying if they are made aware to medical conditions, there are in fact procedures which could be carefully followed to ensure safety of their customers, right? And then they went on to say they wouldn't have disconnected the power if they would have been told of her medical situation, and they would have worked out a way to resolve the matter over the billing statements. Well, that's righteous, right? I think, see, if I was the type of person, I was placing laws in order, all this stuff will be mandatory sketched out as in done right. Who don't know that sort of thing? I'm saying if there's a bill like that, like, who don't know that sort of thing? If it was me and I was making laws and contributing to society in the right form and fit, is to put some of these people's ages on their bill. You ain't got to put no social security number. The account number should be there as well as their age. And possibly a gold star as a mark off that, look, I'm an elder. As in, have respect for my life for that, even if I do get behind. I just think too far, and I should, with calculating. Anybody think, leave me a comment on that. Anybody think that these elderly patients or just elderly individuals should have some type of gold star or something right where the account number is on their bill or something, so that even these companies know that they're elderly? It's common sense, because I'm thinking if I was a company or running one operational fully, right, electrical company, and say nobody is paying the bill on time or whatever, I would just think that they're trying to play games. Because even people in their 20s and early 30s have bills. It's hard to decipher the ages of people, I'm saying, when it comes to billing. That should, in fact, more than likely, instead of it just being on the bill, it should be a gold star, and it should say elderly, right, with the age verified. It should also be in the computing system as well. That way, when they go to make the attempts over the phone to call these people, such as this individual that died, accounting and all the rest, they will in fact know what she is or what he is. Any of them. It's common logical sense. That's why I can't get with many of these corporations, because many of them don't even know what the fuck they doing. That's a true statement. They don't. To be an intellectual genius, sitting here with people say, well, you shouldn't call yourself a genius. No, maybe I should, because what I just called out and named should, yeah, be accounted for. That's how you solve that. If they're, because people are in fact dying. Elderly people are dying because of situations like this. Stamp something and put elderly with the age 65 and above. Put the age, the precise age. If it's 85, put 85. Put it in a computing system. Put it everywhere. So it's documented. And then situations like this don't have to happen. And you won't be having to bury them too soon. I see information raised, as in not in the grave. Does that make sense? So the mistakes have happened all around with Miss Daniels herself, as well as with her daughter, as well as with these corporations, because I be having issues with corporations outside of this situation. I don't like inefficiency. I hate it. Because these companies a lot of times help cause misfortune amongst poor people as well. They just don't know that they're doing it. They don't. Even banking systems is that way. I just had a recent, I should say, when it comes to area of fraud, as in mistaken identity, where one of my cards got sent. How you have a debit card, credit card, got sent to an old address. And I'm thinking to myself, well, if everything, well, I know banking systems usually don't forward mail and all the rest, but that's still petty logical. Not, those two don't go together, and yet I'm forcing it to. That's a petty situation to send my stuff, whether I didn't sign for whatever, because sometimes people have more than one bank card or debit card, whatever, right? They have multiple bank accounts, whatever, right? That's common sense to still say, you know what, well, what is the new address? Because everything else, even in the form of field of a post office, where is all the new mail going to? Well, let's send it over there. As in a banking system and all the rest need to get even that in line. And even myself can get in line, and yet still there's corporations out here that are in fact failure. You just don't know it until something happened. I think that's all to be said. I can't be bothered with a lot of corporations out here. They practices is too inefficient for my genius mind. Does that make sense? Call yourself a genius, as in call it for what it is. Genius does not always mean intellect. No, it doesn't. Genius is more problem solving than anything. That's what most people don't know. Well, such and such is a genius because they know information. No, they possibly did it by when people do things by rote. Well, let me do this over and over till I remember, and this and this and that. Taking in, consuming information. Taking in information does not mean that you're a genius. No, problem solving, in fact, leads to genius. Or the other way around. Genius leads to proper problem solving, right? What is that noise in my ear? Probably too much wires. But I think that's all to be said about Miss Linda Daniels. May she rest in peace. That's completely bothersome. I can make a whole conversation off of what I just said about her. As in where corporations need to get it together. Could be why they're failing. It could be why America is failing. I think next year I should start live streaming. Like next summer or something. To get a lot of things off your chest is to just say it blunt and forward. And kick some people off in the process. I'm saying people that don't agree with me, because even they know that these corporations, it helps to be a outspoken, forthright individual, as in speak your mind and state your piece with even that, because that will in fact shove and push these corporations in line where they need to be, even despite families messing up at times. Corporations can be failures, let me tell you. I have cussed out various individuals. Yeah, even at corporate offices, let me tell you, that's real in itself. As in, it's been thawed out as an aired. I don't care just because people have a title or whatever. That doesn't make sense to me at all, because we still human, and it helps to be brilliant with that. Because if you don't force somebody, even at corporations, to fix stuff, you're going to more than likely fall off dead in the process with that. Because many corporations don't care about you or your life or your family's life. It helps to see through with that. Signs are telling who all I done cussed out to fix my shit and do it rather quickly. Yes. So we're in fact on investigationdiscovery.com. The ID logo stands up in the far left corner right. Live now is People Magazine Investigates. Recommended for you. Body cam. Shouts out to Paula. To scroll over each one of these and in fact be met with a description. You can add to favorites by clicking on the plus sign. Each one of these once again has a description. Unlocked episodes, the same thing. Deadly Legacy, Season 1, Episode 1. To receive an audio-visual, I was going to say disclosure, something like that. But to open it all the way up and see for yourself is to click the play button. Add to watch later, click the plus sign to do that. It helps to be bold and strong in life. People in life, in fact, need to get it together. I'm one of the most boldest people I know, to the fact sometimes it scares my own mother, and it should. My mother, I'm saying, with my mouth, and how she try to run behind me when I be fixing and correcting people with my mouth. My own mother sometimes try to run behind me and etch up, as in stitch up what I said, what she felt was inappropriate. No, she didn't mean that. No, don't. She didn't do this, or she didn't. No, yes, I did. As in, leave it alone and let that consider their own feelings. As in, I just slapped them in the face, so leave it there, because it needs to be. On last night, to get in on this is to in fact click. Yeah, you're gonna provide your provider, not click. I'm sorry, I just heard a car skid. Last time I heard that, I heard a smash and a bang with that. Yeah, so gain access to provide your provider with that sort of thing, whoever you're subscribed to with that. To get in, that's the only way. It's exclusive. Many of these, in fact, are padded down like that. Unlock series, you can do that yourself. Come to investigationdiscovery.com. You would, in fact, be led by that. ID Go original series, you can preview as well. I'm not the nicest person in person, and yet I can be. I try to smile when I can, right? I mean, fake people hide that sort of thing, right? I don't. Crime Feed News, crimefeed.com. To gain access to the crime feed is, in fact, click right within here. You're going to be guided to the outside, crimefeed.com. Crime Feed, not crime feet, not standing on your feet. No, crimefeed.com. To receive a newsletter is to type an email address in and click next. I'm sitting on the next button. But once you're on here, you will be able to see that sort of thing for yourself. That was nice how I said that. Despite me sounding so dry. Something is telling me about that live stream, though. That's going to come later. Possibly, once again, summertime next year. So leave me a comment in the comment section. I think that's all for now. And that's all to be said. Shouts out to a viewer. A few.